Good evening, everyone. Welcome again to another edition of the Kelly Wells Show. We talk University of Pikeville Bears basketball, and of course the Bears last week ranked number 5 in the nation. The new rankings are out. We'll let you know where the Bears stand in just a little bit. They do currently stand 17-1, 7-1 in the Mid-South Conference, coming off huge wins last week over then number 1 Cumberland's and Cumberland University out of Tennessee. I'm Andrew Joyce, your host, and joined by our coach. He's a state championship coach. He's a national championship coach on the collegiate level. He's a high school coach of the year in Kentucky. He's a national high school coach of the year and national coach of the year in the NAI from 2011. Ladies and gentlemen, we simply call him our coach. Kelly Wells, welcome in. It's been a good week.
It's been a great week, and that goes to show the kind of players I've had over my career, those things you can say. So we've been blessed, and we are certainly blessed right now. So I'm anxious to talk about our team and especially what we've done this week and the journey ahead.
These shows are easy. Of course, we start the year, you come off a Christmas break, and you're a little unsure because maybe some changes in the locker room, maybe some changes from guys coming back from the Christmas break or not coming back, and you're a little concerned about a team always when you come to that second semester at this level, but it's been a tremendous start to the new year.
It has been, and we've been a very giving team, very unselfish, and the guys are really, their ultimate goal is to be successful. They could care less about how many points they score and how many rebounds they get. They just want that win at the end of the day, and if you've been out to watch our team play at any point, that's the first thing that people notice about our guys.
One of the nation's leaders, you talk about a giving team, one of the nation's leaders in assists per game, I think right at 22 per game, and that's a tremendous statistic when you think about you have guys that have come from the Division I level that can play, loaded with guards, loaded with guys that can score, and if you need a particular guy to score on any given night, then they certainly can. But what we see is these guys that can score, when there's an open pass, they very seldom miss that pass.
Well, we've pretty much almost averaged 2-to-1 assist-to-turnover ratio, and you'll get the good fortune today to talk tonight to one of those people who's our catalyst behind all of that. And not that he's the only one, but he's contagious, and everybody else picks up from his lead.
Absolutely. Of course, we're talking about Chris Johnson. He'll be in the Bears spotlight a little later, and CJ3, as we call him, leads the Mid-South Conference in assist. He's one of the nation's leaders in assist, and just as we simply call you our coach, we simply call him the best point guard in the country, and we feel like we have him at the University of Pikeville. We'll talk with Chris Johnson a little later. Also, we'll talk women's basketball. Tonight, Bill Watson, head coach of the UPike women, and Ann Klee as well, one of his players in the women's spotlight. But, Coach, good week. We've got highlights coming up. Cumberland's first. Before we go to the highlights, let's talk a little about number 1 coming into the Expo Center, your concerns before that game, and how your team answered.
Well, I guess my concerns for that game were like my concerns for every game. It's really about us more than it is anything, and we talk to our guys all the time about whoever we're playing is an X factor. You know, we've got to do the things that make us successful, and it's no matter who that person is. It's no matter how you feel. It's no matter if you're home or away. You have to play at a high level, and that's our biggest fear. And we've been very resilient. We've handled every situation so far, and there was no question that our guys were ready to show off what we put together. And they were very impressive not only on Thursday night, but turned around and were just as impressive on Saturday.
Absolutely. Of course, in the win over number 1 Cumberland's, Trevor said he went off, 28 points, 14 rebounds, just a huge game. And Trevor doing it in all aspects. He's on the boards. We've got some highlights with his back to the basket, and I never thought I'd hear that said out of my mouth, but Trevor with his back to the basket, and that's part of the highlights tonight.
Well, he's a major mismatch, and he's really developed that throughout his career. He didn't start with that. He's developed that, and most of that's to his credit. And you know, you put a smaller guy on him, he can get in the post and work. You put a bigger guy on him, he can drag him away from the basket. He can take him off the dribble. And those are things that he couldn't do when he first got here. And rebounded the ball. If you'd have told me he would average for the week, 15 rebounds, I would have kind of raised my eyebrows. But he's contributed to that as well. But he's confident because he knows he's got great guys around him. He doesn't have to put all that pressure on himself, and he doesn't have to dribble the ball all the time. He doesn't have to be the guy who scores for us every time. It's kind of scoring by majority, and our guys all participate in that, and it's made us a little bit carefree and loose and be able to play.
Would you have called someone crazy if you'd said the Bears would have had a 16-point win over Cumberland's?
I wouldn't have called you crazy, but it wouldn't have been as likely. I just to a fault, I really have a lot of confidence in our team.
Right.
I really have a lot of confidence in our leadership. We've got 5 seniors that I have a lot of confidence in. I've been around them for a long time, even with Chris and Terrence. They were here last year for a semester before. So we've had some good time with them. And I just, maybe to a fault, and I hope they don't ever surprise me, but I'll go to bat with these guys every single night and feel very good about what the outcome will be.
80-64 over then number 1 Cumberland's. Then on Saturday, you've talked about an impressive win over Cumberland University out of Tennessee. A good team.
Yeah.
This is not a slouch, and almost a 50-point win, 105-56 over Cumberland U. And it was impressive, and it had folks looking for the record book to see largest margin in the conference.
Well, we kind of overwhelmed them a little bit early. Yeah. They lost a tough loss at UVA-wise in double overtime. I think they were a little tired. It's a long trip, use all the things in there. But we were dialed in, and we accomplished something on Thursday night that we didn't want to lose on Saturday.
Sure.
And our guys were hungry to complete that mission, and it would have done us no good to take care of business on Thursday and then lose on Saturday. So they were dialed in, and we shot the ball tremendous, shared it. Everybody on our team had opportunities. There wasn't a guy who got in the game that didn't produce positive minutes and positive play. So it was overall a refreshing week for the Bears.
Take us to the locker room. After you've knocked off number 1 Cumberland's on Thursday, you're at home, you're in your own locker room, Cumberland U coming in Saturday. How do you keep your team focused on the task at hand, Cumberland University, and not suffering a letdown after a big win?
Well, I'm honest with them, 100%. When they stink, I tell them they stink. When they play great, I tell them they play great. I was optimistic, but cautiously optimistic about how we were playing, and I told them it's, the Cumberland's Tennessee game is a trap game for us in a lot of ways. You've got St. Catherine's, Georgetown coming in. This one's stuck in the middle. We can't afford to play poorly, no matter what. And we celebrate for a small time, but we've got big picture, and we've got to really stay focused on that. And it's like cutting down a district tournament net. That's not the net anybody wants. You want to win to get to Rupp Arena as a high school player, and we've kind of done the same thing. We trying to celebrate those little victories, but know that our big victories are at the end.
And truly focused on one game at a time.
No question. And we've talked many times, but we get sometimes caught up with where we're at in the polls, and it's January and all that kind of stuff. We want to take it game by game, and the most important game that we play is the next one.
Yeah, and we do take a look at the ratings, we take a look at the polls, and that's something for us to talk about. But conversely, you'd much rather be talking about the polls and where you are in the top 5 in the nation as opposed to in the middle of January wanting to get there. This team is there right now. They have arrived, but still a long way to go and still a lot of goals to achieve.
Humble and hungry, that's kind of been our motto.
Yeah.
We want to continue to be thankful and appreciative of everything, but hungry to keep improving. Day by day, just a little bit better. And just, the girls have a motto of being 1% better every day, and I think that applies to us as well. We want to just continue to get better. And I know we played well, but we certainly are far, far, far away from peaking. Our free throw shooting is not even close. Defensively, we still haven't amped up our pressure where it needs to be. Sure. Our conditioning, we're adding 2 new players to it. So, there is no ceiling for our team, and we're not going to put one on there.
There's some other coaches that have said this team's peaked because they've already said, how is this team not the number 1 team in the country? They're playing really well.
Well, we are. There's no hiding that we're playing well. We're not ashamed of that.
Sure.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
But it is, on the bell curve, we're sliding down. It's on the second half of the season, and this is where you want to start playing better. You got, 7 road games left that we need to take care of, and 7 home games we need to take care of, and we're excited about those opportunities.
From the attitude that I've seen out of this U-Pike team, I don't see this team having a huge letdown. A lot of teams may have a February letdown. I don't see it out of this team because of the mindset of the players and the attitude.
Yeah, it's a tough road. Our schedule's brutal down the stretch, but so is everybody else's. Sure. We've got to handle it, take it game by game, and we've got mature seniors who I trust and who I know will handle things the right way. And it's not to say we'll play great every night. That just doesn't always guarantee that. But we've handled enough adversity. We know we're going to compete and be there in the end.
You're tuned to the Kelly Wells Show. We talk U-Pike basketball. The Bears currently 17-1 and 7-1 in the Mid-South Conference. We'll talk about the wins over then number 1 Cumberland's and Cumberland University. We've got highlights coming up, and during the next segment, we'll let you know about the national rankings. We'll let you know where this U-Pike team is after 2 wins as the number 5 team in the country. Also still to come, we'll step into the Bears spotlight. Chris Johnson joins us from the men's team. We'll talk U-Pike women's basketball with head coach Bill Watson, and from the women's program, Ann Clee joins us in the U-Pike women's spotlight. A lot still to come. The Kelly Wells Show is presented by Appalachian Wireless on EKB Sports.
Oh, oh.
Welcome back in. The Kelly Wells Show, presented by Appalachian Wireless, where we talk all things U-Pike basketball. The Bears last week ranked number 5 in the country, and they took on number 1 Cumberland's on Thursday night at the Expo Center. They come away with an 80-64 win over the number 1 team in the nation. And Trevor Setti, he's a guy that we've seen have huge games, and he didn't let down. 28 points and 14 boards. Huge game for Trevor Setti in the win over Cumberland's. And Coach Kelly Wells, we'll take a look at some highlights from Cumberland's, and there certainly were plentiful.
You'll notice a theme here that all this starts with our point guard, with CJ here. As you kind of see here, great pass coming off the top. Trevor makes a great pullback dribble, jump shot, one of our set plays. Again, here in a pressure defense, we're in our full court. Coming up with another half-court set. Terrence Santil does a great job on the left shoulder here. Gets a tough basket from the interior, and he backs it up here again. This next one's a similar type play where we try to get it inside off a roll. Ball coming from Deuce Briscoe for the easy putback and a nice flush, as we say.
Big T, he's limited on that leg, you can tell, but getting better and better every time out.
Giving us everything he's got. Nice little post-up move here. Trevor used a mismatch. Ball coming from Elijah from the top. Great finish in the post for us.
Another guy that's playing better each time out.
No doubt. Here's a bomb from Trevor Setti. We knew at this point the game was kind of going to go well in our favor after he starts making shots of that nature.
We used to be shocked by those, no longer.
Yeah, you kind of see the arsenal that he's throwing at him right now. It's a little bit of everything, which is pretty impressive in that regard. Here's a nice play by P.J. Jenkins. Gets off a steal, gets out and runs. And P.J.'s going to give us a lot of good minutes as we go. He's learning what we're trying to do, but you can tell he fits so well. His energy's great. Plays great defense and really shoots the ball tremendously well.
Shoots it well.
Here's
athletic.
CJ with another play for us, steal and a fast break, getting offense from our defense, which is huge for us. If you notice, he pressured their guards the entire night, 94 feet.
Here he just blows by his man, then with the reverse layup.
Well, the thing people don't understand, they can try to choke down Trevor and choke down Deuce, and if they do that, that gives the driving lanes for CJ, and he makes it pay every single time. And here's more offense from our defense. Great tip in from CJ. Played in a 5 spot that time to get that tip in, but he's very, very athletic as well for his size. Here's a nice move by Trevor getting in the paint. Great basket.
This is Thursday night's action.
Here's actually out of a timeout. So this is a great set play for us. Colt Chapman gets the roll back. Shot clock was running down. Got a nice little finish for us in the paint. Here again is another mismatch. Colt with the pass. Colt just seems to bring good energy to our team.
And just a freshman, but he's playing much differently than he did early in the year.
Yeah, here's a great offensive rebound. Josh Whitaker making a hustle play. Nice little whirl and finish on the inside. And here's a common theme for the night. CJ to Trevor for 3.
And he's going to
he's got a little
roll a strike right here.
Little theatricals for the team here.
Yeah.
Like to get that cut out. Such is life.
It's Trevor Setti. You've had him around for a long time. You know what's coming.
No, that's the sad part. You really don't know what's coming. You just try to be guarded. It's not too bad.
Plays with a lot of emotion.
He does, and we don't want to take their enthusiasm for the game away. But there's certain things as an old school guy we like to see him quit doing. But he's fun. He's loving life, and that's part of it.
He's fun indeed, and guys having fun. That win, 80-64 over number 1 Cumberland's, and that sends you to 16-1, 6-1 in the conference, feeling very good. Cumberland University comes in Saturday to the Expo Center. As we said, a little bit of a trap game coming between Cumberland's, then St. Catherine and Georgetown coming up this week. Cumberland, Tennessee, certainly a team that very capable. Really seemed to knock the wind out of them early on Saturday, and we've got the highlights now.
Here it is. We try to do this to start a lot of games. I don't want to advertise this, but we really try to get Trevor off to a good start here and stretch the defense so it provides driving lanes, and he certainly did. A nice little half-court set that we run to start the game to get him started. And then you start concentrating in on him a little bit, and there's Deuce making a play off a ball screen on a side pick and roll, which is also part of our offense.
I thought that was big because Deuce didn't shoot it well against Cumberland's.
No, and the thing about Deuce is he's a scorer. I wouldn't classify him just as a strict shooter.
Sure.
But when he gets it going, man, I tell you what, he's something else. And here's CJ again creating offense from defense. I'd like to have a chart of how many times he scores offense off of his defense, but he really gives us a great lift there. Here's PJ with a long bomb as well for him. It shows his range, and he can really fill it up.
Really athletic, and he can shoot it too.
Here we are again. Duke's got it going a little bit from the three here in the short spell. He gets back-to-back threes on these clips here. Here's another out transition. Common theme here. CJ to Briscoe. Count them. And then here's one of our newcomers, Greg McGee, coming in the game. Really giving us some good stuff right down the middle. Gets an and one. Learning to play through contact, and
yeah.
that's big. That's a big key in our conference. You've got to do that.
Absolutely. Used his body well there to get separation.
Here you go. He had a double-double for the night, pulls the board, gets it out. Josh Whitaker being very unselfish, sends it back to him for a nice flush. Great job of running the floor and playing with energy.
Looked like they've been playing together for years.
For at least a week, huh?
Yeah. Trevor.
Here's Trevor going again with a nice little mid-range. You notice his whole gamut. He's been inside, he's been mid-range, he's been to the three. He's just done a great job. And there's Greg McGee hitting that elbow jump shot, which is a lot of our offensive stuff. Colt Chapman outrunning everybody. And it's common to see him do that. Wish he would stepped up and made this free throw right after it, but very, very good job of getting out in the lane.
Hustle guy runs the floor.
He does. The score's always better in our favor when he's in the game. Here's Greg McGee with another great move off the dribble. Big guys can't guard him out there on the floor. And then here's a nice common thing that we saw late in the game. Elijah Justice for three, hit 4 of them in the night. And it's good to see him start getting back to normalcy.
Absolutely. Elisha, of course, in double figures in points. I think maybe had 5 assists in the
and 3 rebounds as well.
Yeah, a solid game for Elisha. He seemed more comfortable on the floor Saturday, as comfortable as we've seen him in his time. Still fighting through that injury and getting back to normal, but certainly looked a little like old Elisha on Saturday.
I thought so too. I mean, his stat line was perfect. He's still not as aggressive as we want him to be,
Sure.
but it's day by day he's looking better. And you can't help but be confident when you're around guys that we have in our program, and he's going to do that. I think having the bike on the sideline to keep him loose has helped in his development, and he's just going to keep getting better, and that's just another bullet in our holster.
There you go. Coach Kelly Wells, head coach of our University of Pikeville Bears, last week number 5 in the nation, wins over number 1 Cumberland's and Cumberland University out of Tennessee, now 17-1 and 7-1 in the Mid-South Conference. Coach, the ratings came out about 45 minutes to an hour ago, and not at number 1. Columbia, Missouri, they're there. They're undefeated and a deserving number 1. But you, Pike, I thought if you're not undefeated, you've got that 1 loss, the number 2 ranked team in the country, and I'd love to see us play Columbia right now.
I would have no problems with that. Home, away, in the parking lot, wherever
Sure.
wherever they'd want to do that. But no, rightfully so. I voted the same thing. I voted them number 1 in the country and us number 2. And that number 1 ranking's a great thing and good
Sure.
publicity. It's good for everybody. But it absolutely means nothing if that's not the final one. And
Right.
that's where we want to be. And it takes a little bit of pressure off our shoulders. Cumberland's didn't handle the number 1 rating very well. We don't need that pressure. We don't want that pressure. We just want to play well. And
Right.
I think our guys understand that the polls are important, but our play is significantly more important than those polls.
Absolutely. And, of course, now the number 2 ranked team in the nation, the top ranked team in the Mid-South Conference. And while you won't carry the number 1 banner, you'll still have a target on your back in the Mid-South Conference. Everyone wants to knock off number 1.
Well, we have that target on our back no matter we're number 1 or number 4. We've brought the best out in people for some reason, and that's okay. But our guys understand that, a bad week on the road,
Sure.
you go from 1 to 4 in the league. So we've got to be very careful that we're ready to play every single night. It matters not who's in front. We talk about that X factor. Ours is about being prepared and us running our style. We won't play perfect every night, but we've got to win every night.
Absolutely. UPike now number 2 in the country. Lindsey Wilson moves to a tie for number 8 in the nation, and Cumberland's falls all the way from number 1 to number 14 in the ratings, but still 3 in the top 25.
Yeah, and Shawnee State also was in receiving votes. So
Yeah.
we've got 4 in the top 30. And, it'd be nice. Last year we had 4 teams getting a national tournament, and as I told our guys and tried to tell everybody else, that was purely just unregular to get 4 teams in. So we've got to make sure we take care of business, and if we want to play for that national championship, we got to do everything we can to get in.
There you go. Kelly Wells, head coach of the number 2 ranked University of Pikeville Bears, number 2 in the nation, and we'll talk about this week's matchups. St. Catherine's comes to the Expo Center on Thursday, Georgetown on Saturday. We'll preview those games in just a little bit. Coming up, we'll talk UPike women's basketball. Head coach Bill Watson joins us, and we'll step into the player spotlight. We'll talk with Ann Clee from the women's program and Chris Johnson. We call him CJ3 from the men's program. That's all still to come on the Kelly Wells Show presented by Appalachian Wireless on EKB Sports and PikeTV.com. Welcome back in. It's the Kelly Wells Show, presented by Appalachian Wireless. We talk U Pike basketball, of course, the men's program, currently ranked number 2 in the nation and still to come. We'll take a look at the games coming up this week. St. Catherine's Thursday and Georgetown on Saturday. In the men's spotlight tonight, Chris Johnson, and in the women's spotlight, in just a few moments, we'll talk with Ann Klee from the U Pike women, joined now by U Pike women's head coach Bill Watson now. And Coach, tough start to 2013 for the U Pike women. Now 5-10, 1-5 in the Mid-South Conference. Still a team that competing with teams. Cumberland, I think, ranked 7th in the country, and this was a competitive game. Cumberland's a quality opponent year in, year out, and this is a game that neck and neck through much of the first half.
Well, it was. We had a dry spell at about the 12-minute mark of the first half, and they got some separation on us, and we made a little bit of run a couple different times in the second half, but ultimately ended up being a 26-point game. We missed some good looks. We missed some free throws. And the last 4 or 5 games, we haven't shot free throws very well, and
right.
It's something we're addressing in practice. And because before Christmas, we shot very well from the line.
Right.
And coincidentally, that coincides with our winning streak and winning 5 out of 6. So, Mid-South's a little different animal from a physical play standpoint.
Sure.
We have one true physical post player, and that's Belle Jackson, and the rest of our people are finesse people. And
right.
Until they're used to the league and they're still learning the league, then it's going to be an adjustment for them.
Absolutely. And the U Pike women a little banged up as well. Let's talk about that. You've got some players that are battling injuries.
Well, we got a couple of kids. This time of year, again in our league, you're going to get a bruise here and there. You're going to get hit hard on a layup, and you're going to feel it 2 days later. So we're nothing major, but just soreness, general soreness. Kristen Haney's probably the worst one we have right now. She took a spill the other day in the coming U game, and she led with her face, so to speak. And but she's a tough customer, and she bounced back, and she'll be fine by Thursday.
Absolutely. And, of course, you come off losses. St. Catherine comes in on Thursday, another quality opponent, another ranked opponent from the Mid-South Conference. It doesn't get any easier.
It doesn't. They moved in number 25 in the country this week, and deservedly so. They probably need to be a little bit higher. They've had 3 very, very good conference wins in a row, 2 of those on the road. Since they've been in the league, we've always had very, very close games. It doesn't matter what our record is, what their record is. We've had overtime games. We've had games go down to the last 15 seconds. So I expect nothing different. We had a great practice today. Ann and I just came from practice before the show, and a lot of energy, a lot of enthusiasm. I think our kids understand that we have a great opportunity in front of us on Thursday.
And in years past, in recent past, you've seen the U Pike women, and sometimes they may have a look of intimidation when they face a ranked opponent. They've been there and done that. They've played against ranked opponents this year, some of the best teams in the country, and they've competed with them. I see a different look from the U Pike women this year when they see a ranked opponent come in. It's a look that they're fully confident that they can play with and they can beat those teams.
We agree with you, Andrew. We're not intimidated by anybody. And we may not play well for a 4, 5, 6 minute period.
Sure.
But that's part of the game. And we're still young. We're playing two freshmen. We're playing 3 sophomores in our top 8 or 9. But we're not going to be intimidated. We're going to compete. Unfortunately, with young teams, a lot of the way they play is predicated on how you score the basketball.
Sure.
If we have a 3-4 minute stretch where we don't make baskets, don't make free throws, and that affects us on the defensive end.
Right.
We keep trying to get that across. We've got to defend. And once that takes hold, and we put a few more points on the board, and then we're going to be okay.
Right. And this team is a scorer. When things click, it certainly is a team that can score. And it's a team that you're still using a very deep rotation. Middle of January, and I think you had 9 players that played 10 minutes or more on Saturday.
Well, we've got a great lift. We talk about energy in practice today.
Right.
Courtney Haney gave us tremendous effort and energy Saturday against Cumberland University, and Ann Cleves the same way. They gave us great energy when they're in the basketball game, and because of that, they're going to get more reps. They're going to get more minutes on the floor, and we've got to find a way, like I said, to put points on the board. And feed off of their energy. And once we get everybody on the same page, and it's like Coach Wells was talking about. When everything clicks, it's fun to be around. Sure. And we're not that far removed from it been clicking at one time.
Absolutely. And while 5-10 on the season overall, this is still a team that is fun to watch, and this is a team that you can tell they're competing. And that's not always been the case. Sometimes you can look at a 5-10 team and they're not competing night in and night out. This team is.
Well, and I think it goes back. We're growing up, we're maturing, and as a coach, I walk up and down in front of the bench a lot during games, and we're always cheering, we're always talking for each other, pulling for each other, whether we're playing a lot, playing very little, or not playing at all. Sure. If you're on the bench, and we have competitive drills in practice. You get beat, you owe a sprint, you owe 2 sprints, you owe 3 sprints. And the group that wins is always clapping and cheering for the team to get them, to push them to make their time.
Right.
And if you have a team that doesn't compete, that doesn't care for each other, then I don't think that happens at all.
Yeah, absolutely. The U-Pike women, Thursday, St. Catharines, 6 p.m. tip-off at the Expo Center, and then we haven't even talked about Georgetown on Saturday. What's the scout report on Georgetown?
Well, they're very good. They have one of the premier guards in the league, Courtney Tyra. She was actually the National Player of the Year, National Player of the Week. Came out today. Had a triple-double last week against Rio Grande, I believe. And they're an up and down team. They're predicated on how they shoot the basketball, but they also attack the offensive glass from the perimeter. And that causes us some problems periodically. We've got to get our guards, our perimeter people, to rebound a little bit more consistently. If we can keep them off the glass, they're not the greatest defensive team in the world, and neither is St. Catharines. So we'll get open looks. We've gotten open looks all year. It's just a matter of whether our kids knock those down.
It's a question that I haven't asked Kelly Wells recently, but I'll ask you because of the Mid-South Conference schedule. You have to prepare for a team from Saturday to Thursday, and then you've got a quick turnaround with the team on Saturday. And coach speak, you're going to take those games one game at a time. You'll prepare one game at a time. But how difficult is it to turn around and only have 1 day prep time prior to another opponent?
Well, it's extremely difficult, to be honest with you. I mean, again, you're talking – we play number 25 on the country, and we have 3 days to prepare for them for Thursday, and then we turn around. We have about 90 minutes on Friday and maybe 45 minutes on Saturday morning for a shoot-around to prepare for number 16 in the country. So again, I'm sure Kelly would say the same thing. It's about what we try to do, try to exploit our strengths, as opposed to trying to find 7 or 8 things to take away from your opponent. You always want to try to take away 2, 3, 4 things if you can, but you try to play to your strengths in both those games, especially on that second game, on that Saturday afternoon game.
Absolutely. U-Pike women, 6 p.m. Tip-off on Thursday with St. Catharines at the Expo. We'll have complete coverage on PikeTV.com. And then Saturday, 2 p.m. tip-off with Georgetown. Bill Watson, best of luck. Our guest coming up in the U-Pike Women's Spotlight, Ann Cleave. Give us a quick bio.
Excuse me. Ann's from Maysville, St. Patrick. She came as a JV player and worked her way onto the varsity last year. Played a few minutes for us last year. Is actually our third post player right now. And is, like we said before, does a tremendous job giving us energy off the bench, enthusiasm off the bench, positive attitude off the bench. And she's a great young woman. She's in our OMSP program. She's going to great student athlete, exactly. Yes. The classes she has, I wouldn't even try to spell, to be honest with you. But she's a great ambassador for our team, and she's got great things ahead of her.
Of course, in that program, maintaining grade point average and academic standards and such, you come in and those students move on to the School of Osteopathic Medicine as part of the aging generation. You and I, we will be looking for a position
Yes,
not
we
too
will.
far down the road. So
Yes, we will.
be good to that girl. Be good to that girl in
I will
practice.
say yes, by all means.
She'll be taking care of us old guys very soon. Coach Bill Watson, head coach of the U-Pike women's team, will step to the women's spotlight next. Ann Klee coming up next, a 5'10 junior from Maysville, Kentucky, on the Kelly Wells Show, presented by Appalachian Wireless on EKB Sports and PikeTV.com.
Hi, I'm Elisha Justice, a transfer student here at the University of Pikeville. I will be a junior next year, and I am majoring in business administration. I grew up right in Dorton, went to high school at Shelby Valley, and I'm a really big family person. Looking forward to be back home and, be around all my family and all my friends and to play basketball here at the University of Pikeville. I'm Elisha Justice. Join me at the University of Pikeville.
Welcome back into the Kelly Wells Show, presented by Appalachian Wireless. We talk University of Pikeville Bears basketball, both the men's and the women's program. Last talking with U-Pike women's head coach Bill Watson, as the U-Pike women are set to take on St. Catherine College on Thursday at the Expo Center. Then Saturday, Georgetown comes to town. And joined now in the player spotlight, one of the U-Pike women players, Ann Klee, 5'10 junior out of Maysville, Kentucky. Welcome to the Kelly Wells Show, Ann.
Thank you.
Let's talk about Ann Klee, the student. You have an impressive academic resume before even arriving here. I had a little bit of time to take a look at that, and you are part of an important program. But let's talk about Ann Klee, the student athlete. We always put student first because that's most important in life. Let's talk about Ann Klee, the student. Your major, some of your most challenging classes, and then what your plans are.
I'm actually a biology major, and this is my last semester. I'm graduating a year early. So right now, my toughest class is probably biochem and physics.
Yes. So 3 years, you'll have your bachelor's degree. And you're part of a program called OMSP, the Osteopathic Medical Scholars Program. Talk about that a little.
It's actually, I was in the first class to get accepted. It was, the reason I came to Pikeville was for the program. You do well in your academics, and if you get a certain score on the MCAT, you have automatic admissions into Pikeville's medical school.
Absolutely. And of course, you have to maintain a required undergraduate GPA. You're graduating in 3 years. Would you mind if we ask your GPA?
Right now, I think it's a 3-point.
3-point, and
Yeah.
that will get you to the med school. MCAT coming up, of course, you have to do well there. But graduating in 3 years, I would imagine you've got things under control.
Yeah.
Should we talk with your professors? No need.
No need.
Ann Klee, so you'll wrap up the MCAT, your bachelor's, and then you'll be a part of the Kentucky College of Osteopathic Medicine, hopefully coming up this fall.
Yes.
Very good. Ann Klee, 5'10 junior out of Maysville, Kentucky, St. Patrick High School in Maysville. Now let's talk about your basketball background. Let's talk about Ann Klee's high school career and maybe when you first began playing basketball organized.
I first started in the 5th grade. They have a Saturday league in Mason County, and all the local schools have teams, and we played every Saturday. And that's the first time I actually played.
When did you start taking basketball seriously?
The next year, the 6th grade, the coach they hired, her name was Elaine Douglas, and she had a very big influence on me playing and getting into the college. She pushed us. She made us join AAU team, so we traveled every summer. So basketball became year-round, 7th grade year.
Yeah, and travel play AAU as many college basketball players do. They get a lot of time in during their high school career. Did you play other sports in high school?
I played soccer and I played tennis my senior year.
Very good. And you arrived at the University of Pikeville, and as Bill Watson mentioned, part of the JV program, and you found your way to the varsity program now getting significant minutes. And how tough was that that process for you, coming out of high school, someone who had played a lot, and then having to earn your way to the varsity team?
It was difficult at first because playing in high school, I played every minute, every game. But it was worth it. I like playing for Coach Watson, and I like the team.
Absolutely. And, of course, also you come for the academics. And I think that's important to mention because a lot of times athletes terribly focused on athletics. I can say that I was one, and that was a lot of our focus. But obviously, you've got your mindset. You've got a great focus on what you want to do in the future. And once you graduate from the Kentucky College of Osteopathic Medicine, we're going to go ahead and place you a few years ahead, okay? We're giving you the benefit of the doubt. What are your plans then? If you had a dream location to practice medicine, where would you be?
Right now, I don't have a dream location. One of the reasons I wanted to become a doctor was to do Doctors Without Borders. So I'm hoping once I graduate, I'll be able to do that.
Tell me more about Doctors Without Borders.
It's a program. It's an international thing where doctors will travel to third world countries and just serve medicine to people that don't normally have it. Wow.
Ambitious. Very ambitious. Ann Klee, our guest in the Player Spotlight from the UPike Women's Program, and of course, epitomizes what student athlete is all about. Someone who loves playing the game, been playing for a lot of your life and able to continue to do that in college. Now, graduating, on track to graduate in 3 years. What type of course load does it take to graduate in 3 years?
Well, in high school, I actually took a lot of online classes through the local college, and I took classes during the summer there. So I've transferred in with hours, so that helped. But I've taken 15 to 18 hours every semester.
How tough is that for a student athlete in college with the travel, with practice, with games, even home games? How tough is it to keep your coursework up?
It's a very difficult task, especially being a biology major. I have labs, and I have, like, in one of my classes, I have an extra hour of lecture every week I have to go to. So it's been difficult.
But worth it?
Very worth it.
Absolutely. Ann Klee, our guest in the Player Spotlight on this edition of the Kelly Wells Show. We talk about the UPike Women's Program, and no kidding. A lot of us guys, we're getting older, and we're going to need a doctor. So don't forget that Doctors Without Borders. You've got some future patients right here with some of us old guys. Ann Klee, best of luck against St. Catherine's and Georgetown this week, and most of all in your future. I've got a feeling that you're going to make a tremendous physician someday.
Thank you.
Ann Klee, our guest on the Kelly Wells Show. From the UPike Women's Program, we'll step to the men's side next. Chris Johnson, we call him CJ3. The Mid-South Conference calls him the league leading assist man. It's the Kelly Wells Show, presented by Appalachian Wireless on EKB Sports and PikeTV.com. Welcome back into the Kelly Wells Show, presented by Appalachian Wireless. We talk UPike basketball. Of course, we talk men's and women's basketball. Earlier, we heard from UPike women's head coach Bill Watson in the UPike women's spotlight. Ann Klee, a 5'10 junior, on track to graduate early, and truly epitomizes what a student athlete is all about. And joined now in the men's player spotlight by a young man who happens to lead the Mid-South Conference in assist and one of the nation's leaders. We feel like we have the best point guard in the country. His name is Chris Johnson. We call him CJ3. And Chris, welcome to the Kelly Wells Show.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Of course, we're going to talk basketball. We're going to get there. We're going to talk about playing for the number 2 ranked team in the country currently. But as we do with all the players in the spotlight, we talk academics. Student comes first. And from what I hear in a little bit of prep, you're a pretty good student as well. Let's talk about your academic major and what your plans are.
Well, I'm an accounting major, and like Ann, I grew up wanting to be a doctor because my grandfather was a doctor. I looked up to him. But as I got older, I noticed the hard work you had to put into it and the time. So I switched because I was good with numbers. And right. My mom's an accountant, and I looked up to her, so I eventually chose that.
All right, so some influence from the family there in accounting, and that's a rigorous curriculum as well. And I ask Ann, and I ask you, always ask before we go on air, if it's okay to ask the grade point average. So, Chris Johnson, let's tell folks what kind of student you are.
I'm a 3.2 I got a 3.2 grade point average right now.
That's tremendous.
Yes, sir.
Tremendous, no matter what the field of study is. If you're 3.0 or better, I believe that would get you to the dean's list most places.
Right.
And Chris Johnson getting it done in the classroom and obviously getting it done on the court as well. Leading the Mid-South Conference in assists currently. Leading one of the leaders in the nation in assist as well. Several statistical categories that you're among the top. Chris, let's talk about your basketball background a little bit before we talk about this season. Let's talk about when you first began playing and maybe some basketball influences in your life.
Man, I probably had a basketball in my hand when I was in the baby crib, but I looked up to my older brother. He started playing basketball at around 9. And I was about 7, I want to say, and I watched him play AAU and travel around, and it just made me want to play basketball so much. I loved the game. My dad wanted me to play football, but I couldn't. I just loved basketball so much that I wanted to play basketball.
Talk about your high school career.
Our high school team was pretty decent. We always finished 3rd in the district, but we never could get over the hump. And like coming here, dominating, being top of the conference, it just feels so much better.
Let's talk about how Chris Johnson arrived at the University of Pikeville, because you had a journey in your college career as well. And let's talk about maybe the recruiting process finally that landed you here in Pikeville, because we're certainly glad and we want to pat somebody on the back that got Chris Johnson here.
Well, coming out of high school, I wasn't high recruit. They said I was too small to play basketball, and I slipped through and got to St. Francis. Luckily, a coach knew a coach, and I got there. And then when I transferred out, I actually was going to Elizabeth City University. Had all my stuff moved in there. And Coach Rector hit me on Facebook and told me how they just won the national championship,
right.
Showed me the expo. And it just changed my mind. I came out here to visit, and I just changed my mind immediately when I met Coach Wells and this coaching staff.
Yeah, you come from Newport News, Virginia. It's a little different than here.
Yeah.
What was your impression of Eastern Kentucky on your first visit to Pikeville?
Well, I knew it would keep me out of trouble, keep me focused on what I wanted to do, basketball-wise and school-wise. So it was an easy choice.
What are your plans basketball-wise?
Hopefully I can go overseas for a couple of years, make a little bit of money, and then, you got to get back to reality soon. So I kind of want to be a coach, too.
Yeah.
So if that works out, then hey.
Who've been some coaches that have influenced you?
Definitely Coach Wells. I had an AAU coach, Coach Chapman, and my high school coach, Coach Weaver.
There you go.
Yeah.
Obviously, coaches, we remember, any type of athlete remembers coaches that as we've grown up, and certainly they hold a huge influence on us. Chris, we have called you the best point guard in the Mid-South Conference. We argue with anyone that Chris Johnson, the best point guard in the nation, and you continue to prove that week in, week out, averaging 10 points per game, averaging 7.5 assists per game, I believe, at the last look at the stats. Chris Johnson, your team just moved to the number 2 spot in the nation. You knocked off number 1 Cumberland's, and frankly, a smackdown of Cumberland U on Saturday.
Right. Team
playing extremely well, a lot of depth, and now number 2. What are some goals for this team and for Chris Johnson the rest of the season?
We definitely want to finish out strong, win the national championship, so Coach Wells can have a good team next year that comes in and expects to do the same. And goals for me, I just want to be the best team player I can be. When you win with teams, individual accolades come on their own. So
truly, the attitude of a point guard, you make everyone around you a lot better. What influenced the way you pass the basketball? We've seen point guards that they can score as well. You can score, obviously, but tremendous passer. We've seen you get passes through spots that shouldn't be able to get a pass through, but you've been able to do that in great court presence. Who influenced you? Who made you a better point guard? Who made you the point guard you are today?
Y'all call me CJ3. I look up to Chris Paul.
Yeah?
Yeah, but I give credit to my teammates because they make the shots, finish at the rim and stuff like that, and I wouldn't get assists if they didn't do that stuff.
Absolutely. Tremendous job as point guard for the number 2 ranked University of Pikeville Bears. And St. Catherine's coming up Thursday. Georgetown on Saturday. Chris, what did you know about the Mid-South Conference before you arrived here?
I didn't know much, but when I came second semester and I got a little flow of how the school and basketball went, I saw Georgetown and I thought they was a pretty good team, and it immediately showed me that there's no slouch teams in this conference.
Is this a team that can win the national championship, your U-Pike Bears?
I believe we can.
Pretty talented bunch, isn't it?
Yeah.
Ask the question. We've had some guards on the show. We've talked with Deuce Briscoe. We've talked to Elisha. We've talked to Trevor and Josh Whitaker. How deep this team is at the guard spot. How tough are practices for the guards at U-Pike?
Oh, man, we do a lot of competitive stuff. Like today we did one-on-one full court. I went up against Josh, but going up against Deuce or EJ, it's just always competition. You always got to bring your A game every day.
I was going to say, what happens when a guy takes a day off?
You can't.
Gets embarrassed?
Yeah, you'll be sitting down somewhere on the sideline watching.
Absolutely. Chris Johnson, you were a key part of the highlights tonight. Had a great week last week in wins over Cumberland's and Cumberland U. Let's get a couple of more wins this week and continue to climb.
Right.
Chris Johnson, he's a 6-foot senior guard. He's our point guard. We feel like he's the best in the country. CJ3. See him Thursday night at the Expo when the Bears take on St. Catherine. Saturday at 4 when the Bears take on Georgetown. We'll step out and we'll hear from the coach again. Coach Kelly Wells, head coach of the number 2 ranked team in the nation, your U-Pike Bears, on the Kelly Wells Show, presented by Appalachian Wireless on EKB Sports and PikeTV.com.
The biggest thing about U-Pike, you have that one-on-one with your teachers. You know everybody in your class. You have teachers who will work with you. If you need help, they'll stay after. It's a real good feeling. It's a family atmosphere. I mean, everybody here is super nice, will do anything in the world to help you. And it's just that homey feeling. You don't feel away, especially as a freshman. I mean, that's huge. I'm Jennifer. Join me at the University of Pikeville.
Welcome back in to the Kelly Wells Show, presented by Appalachian Wireless, as we're rejoined now by Kelly Wells, head coach of the U-Pike Bears, 17-1, 7-1 in the Mid-South Conference, and this week ranked number 2 in the nation. And, Coach, no time to rest on the laurels. You knock off number 1 last week. St. Catherine's comes in on Thursday. Quick scout of St. Catherine.
Well, they've had our number. We've got to get off to a good start and do things well. They're a very talented team. They've got good size, very athletic. That's kind of been their MO for the last few years. The thing that is a little different, their record's kind of weird this year. They're not performing up to the level I think that they're capable of doing. But you can guarantee when they step foot here, they'll be at their best, and we know that. They've got a little quirky 2-3 zone that they like to run. They like to trap a lot out of it, and they play full court. So it'll be some challenges for us, but none that our guys aren't up for.
And then Georgetown on Saturday. I know the players, you guys will look one game ahead, one game at a time, rather. But the coaches, you've prepared for Georgetown. What will we see Saturday?
Well, they've got 2 of the best posts in the country, in Vic Moses and McWhorter. Both of those play very, very well. That'll give us a little different challenge than St. Catherine's will, which is more guard-oriented. But their guards are good as well. So they'll have 5-6 guys that are very sturdy. They've played a lot of basketball, and again, they dropped their first 3 league games, which is kind of uncharacteristic of them. So they'll be very hungry when they come into our place. And I tell our guys too that we need to be just as hungry or hungrier than anybody that steps foot in our place. So 2 great games. Crowds will be very entertained. Both teams are very well coached on both nights. So it'll be fun for anyone.
It's typical Mid-South Conference basketball. We've got the number 2 ranked team in the country. Thursday night, 8 p.m. tip-off with St. Catherine. Saturday at 4 with Georgetown. And, folks, if you haven't seen this team, you will want to see this team. 17-1, 7-1 in the Mid-South Conference. They need your support. And, come on, get on the bandwagon. You'll enjoy the ride with Coach Kelly Wells' squad. It's a team you can be proud of, both on the court and off the court. Chris Johnson tonight in the spotlight. Tremendous young man, accounting major, 3.2 grade point average. He gets it done in the classroom, and we do feel like he's the best point guard in the country.
He leads by example everywhere he goes, on the floor, in the community. And if he didn't, his mother would drive down here in about 4 minutes and make sure that he did right. But he's a great example for not only our team, but for everyone, for my son and the whole 9 yards. So we're thrilled to death for CJ. And if my son turns out to be the kind of kid that Chris Johnson has turned out, I would count that as success.
Great young man. Coach Kelly Wells, a team to be proud of at this point. I know that this team is very focused. Does this team have the maturity to make a run through the Mid-South Conference schedule?
Oh, I think so. I think we've handled just about every obstacle a team can handle in a shortened 18-game season that we've had. We've been through injuries, through illness, through some ineligibility, new players, tough road games, whatever. Our guys just take it in stride and keep responding and have responded well under every circumstance. So I don't see why that would ever change.
St. Catherine's Thursday, Georgetown Saturday. Let's get 2 wins.
And we need the crowd to be there, the fans to be there, and it's really a lot more fun when you get the whole community involved. Sure. And our guys obviously look forward to seeing more people at the games, and we do too. And we want to share what we've got with everyone else.
Number 2 team in the nation, worthy of your attendance. You'll love this team once you come out and check out the Bears. Coach, best of luck. We'll see you Thursday.
Thank you. I can't wait.
Coach Kelly Wells, and thanks also to UPike women's coach Bill Watson from the women's side, Ann Klee, and in the Bears spotlight tonight, Chris Johnson, our guest on the Kelly Wells Show. It's been presented by Appalachian Wireless on EKB Sports and PikeTV.com.